Well, hello there. It's another day. I'm Jim Harrington.
And I am Bill Knight. Happy Tuesday, sir. Hope everything's going okay.
It's hanging in there. You sent to me something last night which I found very interesting, and I'd like to say that I was surprised, Bill, but I wasn't. You know.
Well, I actually questioned the idea. You know, I said, okay, an attractive young woman that is a no jabber. She's
right.
No vaxxer. Didn't get the shot. And, you know, it does bring up an interesting question. If you're a no vaxxer, and God forbid you get in an accident and you need a blood transfusion.
Right.
Well, obviously, the people donating blood, many have gotten vaccinated. So you're getting the mRNA in your system at that point in time.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, somebody said, I think it's safeblood.org or something like that, or .com. You're allowed to get on the DONE list if you're a no vaxxer, but they have to test you to make sure that you are indeed a no vaxxer. And it is a disproportionate amount of those people, the overwhelming amount, unbeknownst to them, have mRNA in their blood. So in other words, you didn't get the shot, but they got it in you somehow, you know, whether it was, and I looked up the story. I went to actually just a regular search. And then I did AI with Grok and Chat GPT, and I said, yeah, the story is true 100%, but it's not being talked about that the bulk of the population, you know, or many of us, whether we liked it or not, got unknowingly vaxxed. I mean, I don't know that the tooth fairy came in and put a quarter under our pillow or gave us a shot.
Which leads to the question, how would they get the mRNA vaccine into your bloodstream if you didn't get the shot?
Checkers in the sky. We were playing checkers in the sky.
Well, we talked about that last week, about chemtrails. They're very real. There are people who are behind it who admit to it. They won't tell you what they're spraying us.
Well, they're doing something, and then the other thought I had, well, you know, the one thing that I did, I always got a flu shot every year.
Right.
They kind of quit doing it during COVID. You know, you got to get the COVID shot. So, you know, I didn't. But then, and you know, because I used to do it, then all of a sudden they're going, hey, you better get the flu shot. And something told me, hold your horses.
Well, they said they started to promote the fact that you can get one shot in both vaccines.
Yeah.
They promoted it. Look, you don't have to get two shots. We can now give you the COVID shot and the flu shot together, a combined vaccine.
I'm thinking they hoodwinked the public. And to me, if it's a mass vaccination and it's ever proven that it is harmful, who do you sue?
I wonder how effective the chemtrail inoculation is. I mean, how much of that stuff do they have to dump on us, and how frequently do they have to dump it on us for it to be equivalent to an injection?
Particles in the air. Let's just think about, let's say that you lived out west and Mount Rainier blew up, which ironically could happen.
Yeah.
And that's the big, massive one. You think about the Cauldron and Yellowstone, but that's the bigger one, I understand. But either way, you get the rock that's molten, that comes out in ash, that gets in the air. It's particles in the air that you breathe and is toxic. And, you know, that would become like concrete in your lungs, but either way, and suffocate. Think about if they're taking that and widely dispersing it. And it's particles in the air, catches in the raindrops or whatever, but it falls down and it's a beautiful day to be alive. You're breathing it in.
Well, I'll tell you, even something more recent.
Or the water. Put it in the water.
East Palestine, Ohio. Boy, was it 2 years ago? Year and a half ago? 2 years ago? I live 55 miles southeast of East Palestine. 55 miles. There's a city between us, Pittsburgh. So I mean, it's not next door, yet I had it all over my car. I had the remnants of the explosion and all the crap that it threw into the atmosphere. So if it gets on your car, folks, you're breathing it in too.
Well, I remember the big debate back in the 70s, and there were people, these people that were, they were purists in the fact that they took vitamins and they didn't want chemicals in their food and stuff like that. And the water system, and they're going, well, we're putting chlorine in the water. What? You're putting chlorine in it? Well, we got to keep it clean. And then, you go to the dentist. All right, we're gonna use fluoride. We're gonna clean your teeth and put fluoride on them. There were many people
Right.
that said, I don't
Oh,
want fluoride on my teeth.
they said it's fabulous. It's like a wonder drug. Fluoride. You got to have
And then
it.
they started putting it in the water system,
Yes. Without asking.
and without asking.
Yeah.
And did they do that with mRNA or COVID vaccine?
Well, I mean, folks, how do you
Here's
get a blood test and you didn't get the vaccine, but yet you have a positive for the vaccine in your blood test?
Well, see, that's just it. Now, let's say, well, because I'm going to sit there and go, well, I buy bottled water.
Right.
I don't drink tap water because I'm not worried about them putting chemicals in it. I'm worried about the pipes corroding and you can have a plastic pipe and water can go through,
Sure.
but bacteria builds in it over time. Well, how do you flush that out of there? Well, they'd have to put chemicals in. So I get bottled water, but
But you
they
get
have
the you get the there's the plastic residue
that.
from the bottle in that water.
Well, that's one thing. Did you know water bottles expire?
Oh, I know they do because they
And
are degrading from the moment they make it.
right. So you want to look at that, like that water just came in. How new is that bottle? That's about the best you can do. Now, I wonder if there's a filtration system that takes everything out of the water, including mRNA. You
I
cannot
doubt it.
trust anybody. Now, I'm sounding like a prepper and everything, but I'm going, when I saw that, I was going, okay. Now, I didn't get any blood, but I had at the time, I had, some major surgery going on a foot injury, a leg injury from mountain climbing. And I was sitting there going, man, I didn't need any blood. Good thing. And I was awake during the surgery. But who the hell knows what they do? I mean, I'm just saying it's crazy out there. How can you protect yourself from a society that wants to put this crap in you? And the other thing I wonder, were the people as crazy before COVID as they have been since COVID?
You're saying has it had an effect on us mentally? Has it affected how we act? I mean, you don't know.
That's the question.
I'm going to play the audio from the.
Boy, here we
Now she gets a little irritated, and if you're sensitive to an occasional
this
F-bomb,
this
then you might want to turn away for a couple of minutes. But this is a young lady that Bill sent me, and this is her reaction to finding out that her blood is testing positive. Listen.
Did a post like a week ago on safeblood.com, which is a service where you can get unvaccinated blood, meaning unvaccinated from COVID-19. And through that, I talk about how they have a test to see if your unvaccinated blood is really unvaccinated, because there's somebody that's doing a test that is showing 90% of those that are unvaccinated from COVID-19 are showing synthetic mRNA in their blood. And so this was just a little finger prick test that you do. And I went ahead and did the test, and my results are back. Let's see what they say. Okay, let's open the email. All right, I have 2 attachments. It says attached to the results from your C19 VRA. Also attached is a document that briefly discusses a treatment, should that be something you desire or need to pursue. Okay, gosh, please. I would love to be the 10%, please. Unfucking believable. Okay, well, obviously my results are not what I wanted. mRNA sequence presence, yes. N1 methyl, yes. And it tells you which pharmaceutical company is in your blood. Disruption of RNA, yes. Disruption of DNA, yes. I am fucking livid. Again, no vaccines. I did have COVID, Delta variant, no vaccines. So how is this synthetic mRNA in my blood?
It doesn't make sense. It does not
No.
make sense. By the way, they tell you that the best immunity for COVID is having gotten the virus and then getting through it. You're immune after that. They tell you, oh, it's a natural immunity. It's better for you. Well, she had COVID, and they should have left her alone. But, Bill, she could have gotten it from a flu shot. If she got a flu shot, she could have gotten it from something they put in our food or our beverages. This bit about chemtrails, I have to tell you, when it first came out, when they first started talking about them, I thought, this is nonsense. This is BS. But for those of you who aren't familiar, when you look up in the sky and you see a jet laying a line of exhaust, it looks like, behind it, most people think that's just a exhaust from the jet. Vapor from a jet dissipates in a matter of seconds, all right? Because essentially it's just water. It just dissipates. Cold air and the hot engines, it creates vapor, and after a while it just dissipates. But when you see a cloud of vapor that doesn't dissipate, it goes from horizon to horizon, that's not normal.
Mm-mm.
And a lot of people will tell you they're putting something on us. They're dropping something on us. God knows why. But maybe we're finding out, Bill. Maybe what you just stumbled across is one of the reasons why they're doing it. They're trying to vaccinate us. Maybe they're trying to thin the herd. I don't know.
Or control the herd. What else can it do? What is it the building block to? What else can be added to it? But this is going to pass down from generation to generation, which means, now that brings up another question. Let's say that a young woman goes, I want to have a child, but I don't find any suitable men. She'll go to a sperm bank. Well, say the guy, the donor, got the vax. Well, that makes you a good candidate because your bloods or your donation is safe, but it's probably got the mRNA.
You mentioned earlier, Bill, about you can go to a website, safeblood.org, right?
Yeah.
But who's to say that's not a way for them to find out who hasn't been vaxxed?
Well, the CIA has a lot of operations. They operate autonomous, so they could do that. This whole thing that that she's exposing could be simply a government service that's going on, and they operate outside of. You don't understand how big this is. They operate outside of the United States, meaning not out of the boundaries, but out of the governmental control. They are autonomous.
And then we heard not too long ago, I think it was in Davos, they admitted that they wanted the ideal population to be 500 million people on the planet. We have 330 million people in the United States alone right now. They have a couple billion in China. I mean, so a lot of people have got to be escorted off our planet, involuntarily for them to achieve their goal. You have to ask, do they do it with bullets? Do they do it with spray? I don't know, folks.
I would say if I were a pilot and they say, hey, why don't you go up there and make some checkers in the sky? I would tell the pilot, just think about this. If you're carrying something up there that's pretty bad, containers leach and things leach. Think about the guys that drop bombs, that dropped the atomic bomb, and then they turned and flew away. Or the guys that went out and did the testing here in the United States when they were doing that, and they were miles away, but they were in the range to get some of that blowback. The ladies up in the Midwest, I think it was Minnesota or somewhere, were when they wanted to make the dials on the plane glow in the dark, the phosphorus that they used, the paint.
Right.
Well, when these women got in their 40s and 50s, they got like these catacombs growing in their legs to where everything was drying up. It was the stuff that they were using to paint, which seems simple, leached in their system. Same thing for these pilots. If you're flying one of those planes going, hey, I'm getting paid well, I got to do this, you might have just sat there and sealed your own fate.
They told people back in the late 40s and early 50s that, especially a lot of young potential moms, that they should get some formaldehyde. It was going to be good for them. And what they found out afterwards is that it caused massive deformations and made their children, some of them were born with no arms and no legs because of the formaldehyde. I think it was formaldehyde. I want to say that was the drug. And I could be wrong. Check on that. There was, all I know, folks, is that it did exist. I was a little kid at the time, and it was a big deal. Like, oops, they messed up. You know, folks, we take a lot for granted. You mentioned the chlorine. That was promoted like a wonder thing for your teeth, and it was going to be great for your health.
Chlorine and fluoride and all those things. And
Yeah.
at the time it was out there, I was too young to even fathom what they were doing. But, you know, we've trusted academia and science.
Yeah.
And these, you know, for lack of a better way to put it, these bastards we are the test rats in their laboratory.
Yeah.
And oh boy, that didn't turn out the way that I thought it was going to go. Sorry. Yeah, you're bad for believing me.
Which begs another question. You know, we talk about these. They can do a lot of things with these chemtrails, and a lot of people think they're affecting our weather with them. You know, I mean,
I do believe that.
I believe that too. I've said this before, folks. I've grown up on the East Coast. In my whole life, I cannot remember a time when I've seen more tornado warnings, right, on the East Coast. You see them in the Midwest all the time, flat land, open land, you know, it's just natural. But on the East Coast, I would hear people say, well, you know, we have mountains and we have the Appalachians, and it's not conducive for tornadoes. Baloney. Now, I swear, folks, in the last month, we've had, where I live on the East Coast, maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5 tornado warnings, not watches, warnings. Someone spotted it somewhere, and that's what the difference between a watch and a warning. A watch is things are ripe for the possibility of a tornado. A warning is that somebody has seen one somewhere in your region. And so, how does that happen? How do we get blizzards one week and 70 degrees the next week? I've lived in this area all my life, folks, but this is really crazy weather.
Well, what day of the week is it?
Today is Tuesday.
Oh, that's interesting because yesterday I got the forecast for next coming Sunday.
Yeah.
And we can expect floods here. I'm not kidding.
Are you serious?
I'm serious.
Well, they're talking. Folks, look at
that doesn't mean it's going to happen, but that was my my weather little thing going. Oh yeah, looking ahead. Yeah, you can expect a few inches of rain in a short period of time. I go, well, that's a flood. Okay, so there we go. And how do they know that far out unless they're pushing
planning
the system? Yeah.
Yeah. No, it doesn't make sense. It's not rational. It maybe for young kids who haven't been around that long, they think this is normal. But I can guarantee you that in my lifetime, I've never seen it this unpredictable, this crazy. I mean, weather by nature is unpredictable, but this is nuts. This is nuts. Anyway, hey, like and share our show. Tell your friends about us. Jim and Bill, it's another day. It's another day. And also visit one of our websites, either it'sanotherday.com or jimandbill.com. We have a gift shop there. You can buy something there. It helps us out. Also, if you don't want to buy anything, you can hit the donate button, make a donation to our show. You say, why do you guys need a donation? It's because we want to promote the show and it costs money. And every day we do this show, we find out different things about how the system works. It's It's interesting, folks. They try to sell you stuff as if it's infallible when it's on the internet, and it's fallible. All I can say is that. By the way, if you want to contact us, it's mail@jimandbill.com.
Wake up on the right side with Right Side Coffee.
Available at rightsideshop.com.
So did you hear about Charlie Kirk?
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Now,
I mean, who was the shooter? I mean, now, I mean, it brings into real question.
Didn't you hear? People were saying, well, it wasn't that guy. It wasn't that guy Robinson. He's the patsy.
There was somebody behind.
There was somebody, and they had pictures of somebody. It looks like somebody's either pressing a trigger or a button. Some people thought it was in the lavalier. He was wearing a microphone that was booby trapped. Another person said it was someone closer shooting from behind.
Did you see the video? And I saw it, and they blew up on it. There was a guy that had his hand like over his chest, and he held it out, and he was holding some kind of small little gun, and you actually see a bullet or something firing out of it, and it ricocheted off of Charlie Kirk's cross that he was wearing his necklace, and went up and shot him in the neck, and you could see that made sense because all the angles, the splatter didn't work right. And for that, I'm like going, so
for those
is that it, or is that BS? I don't know.
For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, they came back and they said the government hasn't been able to match the bullet that killed Charlie Kirk with the rifle that Robinson supposedly used.
Yeah.
What? What's that?
If the bullet don't match the gun, the kid gets off, and he's going to get money for the simple fact that we tarnished his name. And what about his transgender lover that all of a sudden just disappeared? There's too many questions going on with this, and it's coming up on a year here very soon.
Yeah.
And we haven't a clue.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense. We are living
in a tightly secured area.
To think that Kash Patel said, "Oh, we're gonna get down to we're gonna find out exactly what happened here," and then he goes away. Kash Patel is a disappointment, and by the way, Pam Bondi is a disappointment too. People may say, "Well, maybe they're doing stuff behind the scenes, and we just haven't been made privy of what they're doing." Folks, we've gone through extraordinary times over the last 5 years, and these same people, the Kash Patels and the Bondis, when they weren't working in government, they were out on every podcast and talk show talking about all the things that were wrong and how they would fix it if they were given the opportunity. Well, they were given the opportunity to straighten things out, and they haven't done a damned thing. They will tell you, and they fall back on this line all the time. Well, the investigation is still in progress, and we can't talk about an active investigation. Hey, make a friggin' exception. Maybe the people are at a point right now where we need some honesty and some truth. Enough of this crap. Government has been sticking it to us over and over and over again. It's like a pendulum, these people. The Democrats get in office and they screw us. And then the pendulum swings over to the other side and the Republicans are in office and they screw us.
Well, I got questions about Bondi and Kash Patel. Now, I understand he did find something that he's doing something on, but I'm sitting there going, I saw Bongino go out, but you don't see anybody really doing what they are paid to do. And you got to wonder, they're not all corrupt. The left is trying to make this, against Trump, that it's they're trying to cover it bad there, and they're projecting. But when the Democrats use something like this, and they've done it before to get into power, they don't question anything. They don't throw anything out there, and they're corrupt as hell.
Yeah.
So is there a fashion of the government, like the CIA, or something? A faction of the government, like the CIA, that is sitting there all by itself, autonomous, or something bigger than them, that calls all the shots, and to be honest, anybody, even you or me, they go, I'm going to do something. And then you get in there going, you're going to yourself, I'm damned if I do it that way. I'm
Well,
damned if I do it this
let me
way.
tell you
I'm
something, folks. This is just a little aside, but goes to your point. Our program, some of our shows that touch sensitive areas,
Take days or weeks to get out to you.
yes, we load them into the system, right? And we put them out there so you can hear them with the thought that you're going to be able to access it immediately. And sometimes they just never get distributed because someone somewhere, we think, makes a conscious decision to slow it down a bit.
Well, we might sit there and get a notice. Oh, yeah, you had 1,000 downloads.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's great. We got almost, I don't know, 12 or 1,300 shows out there. And then we'll sit there and go. And I'm going, why didn't those downloads show up on today's show if we got that many downloads?
Yeah.
No, it was spread one at a time over each and every single one. Over how long have we been doing
Why would
this?
you
5
listen?
years?
Why would you listen to one of our shows, right? With all due respect, but why would you listen to a show of ours that's 4 years old? You know, we'd be talking about news that was 4 years old. Why would you want to hear that unless you just love our show so much you can't get enough of our voice? I don't know, but it doesn't make sense. What does make sense is there are AI systems out there that are programmed to essentially monitor what we do, and then it decides based upon their algorithm whether we get distributed or not.
Yeah,
This is the system that we're living in. When you talked about the CIA, getting back to Kash Patel and Pam Bondi, the difference between the Republicans and the Democrats, like you said, is that the Republicans are snails, and the Democrats are the rabbit. All right, they are unbelievably flat. I think of Merrick Garland. When they wanted to come down with a hammer on President Trump, they didn't take a long time to contemplate and think about it. Hell, they were out in the afternoon. They were making a grandstand performance in front of the world almost immediately.
I don't think you made a mistake when you voted for Trump. I think you did the right thing. And Trump put in the cabinet that he thought could get the job done, knowing damn good and well, even though the will of the public, the vast will of the public that put him in office and didn't put the Democrats in. The Democrats have one thing. They're in bed with this dark side, whether it's the CIA or that deep state. They're in bed with them. So when they are supposedly in power, they can do no wrong. They don't have to answer any questions. On the other side of that coin is we put our man in, and
Yes.
our man is doing whatever he can, and his people have got their hands tied because what's going on, in my estimation, is that they hit that brick wall of the deep state. So no matter the fact that we kept those Democrats out, and I don't like to sit there and divide parties, but let's just say there's corruption on the Republican side too, but it's more deeply rooted on the left. And then you've got, the Bernie Sanders of it that have, and the socialists that have taken the socialist and the basically communists that have taken over that party.
Unbelievable. They are open about it now too. If you saw the demonstrations at the No Kings rally in New York, the most prevalent flag there was the Soviet flag of years gone by. The hammer and sickle, that was the flag. They proudly paraded through Times Square and in New York with the Soviet flag. Now, I don't know whether we can fix the system. That's the depressing part about it. I don't know whether we have the means to dig out the roots of this demonic system that is invaded our. It's like a cancer, folks. By the way, before I forget, I hear them talking about the war in Iran. And people say, well, why don't we just pack up and go now? We've achieved our objectives.
No, we haven't.
The war in Iran is like cancer. It is like cancer. If you don't get all of it, it's going to come back. So President Trump knows this. So he's made a commitment, and whether we like it or not, he knows that it's good for us that he finishes the job. Otherwise, some other president in the not too distant future is going to have the problem.
Hey, look, Iran has already threatened they're going to bring it here to us. You know,
Yes.
they've got cells, and so and Trump is, even though he puts on a positive, strong face, he knows in the back of his mind that it's possible,
Yep.
and that shoe is going to fall. The prices have gone up over $4 a gallon. Now, one thing is, well, we got to give in, and those prices will go down. But that means what you're admitting is that these guys hold the key to the world. If we give them that oil a stronghold, they are holding everybody hostage. They get what they want, and they want to sit there and use that oil as a way to,
And who wins, Bill?
Islam.
And who wins? Who wins if we withdraw our troops now?
They do.
Yeah.
Within 5 years, they win.
And what does that say to the world? It says, America, it's a lot of huff and puff, but it's no action. It's a lot
Well,
of
neither is the rest of the
posturing.
world. So they got room to talk. We're doing this by ourselves, and they are not helping one
Oh,
bit.
by the way, Bill, I would pull out of NATO tomorrow. I would say,
I've said that forever.
you need our money, you need our power, you need our military, NATO. Well, you're on your friggin' own, because when we needed you.
I would pull out of NATO, and I would kick the UN out of here too.
Yes.
Because neither one has helped us at all. We've always, we've had to bear the brunt of it all, and I'm tired of paying for their, for them sitting on their hands.
These SOBs come to New York, right? Come to this building, which is supposedly a country unto itself, meaning we've essentially said that on this plot of land in New York, you're autonomous. You're the United Nations. So they come to New York, these ungrateful SOBs, and they belittle us, they mock us, they jeer us, they call us nasty names. They really ridicule what we are and who we are, and then they go out to the finest restaurants in our country.
Mm-hmm. The guys that always cheer the most and the loudest in a football game are the bench warmers and the water boys.
Yeah.
They're the ones that celebrate the most, but they weren't the ones in the games making the plays and taking the hits. Well, that's what the UN is, and that's what NATO is. They're sitting on the bench, parked, and they're the water boy of the world. They're not even the water boy. They're not even helping that way.
Let me tell you about the UN right now, right? They're supposed to be peacemakers and peacekeepers. Let me tell you about quickly the country of Nigeria. Right now, at this very moment, they are slaughtering by the tens of thousands Christians. Over the weekend, there was a celebration at a church in Nigeria, and I hate to say it, folks, but it's the same old, same old. The radical Islamists who run that country came driving by with their AK-47s and shot everything that moved. Women, children, whatever, old people, young people. Like they said, 1,000 people just slaughtered for going to church.
Did I send you the interview of a guy? He was, he had a nice smiley face and everything, and he's promoting Islam. And, the guy was going, so what's the deal? He goes, you either become Islam and you convert, or you die.
Oh, I saw that. You sent me that a few days ago. Anyway,
yeah, a few days ago. And then, but it gets down to, well, what does this mean? In the next year, you will either be Islam or you will die. So they have a timeline and agenda, but if they don't get it in their timeline, they're willing to wait.
Oh, they've got patience, Bill. The other side has got patience.
We don't. We're pacifists.
We have a war going. It's been in operation. We're in our fourth week of the war. I mean, let's talk about wars. Gettysburg, that was 3 days. We lost 53,000 casualties at Gettysburg in 3 days. You would have thought if that happened today, they would have strung up Abraham Lincoln. Oh my God, all of those poor people. No, they were soldiers, and they knew what they were doing when they went into the military. They had an obligation and a responsibility. At least they felt they did on either side. You know, we have something is wrong with. We have a sickness in our country, Bill, that I don't know whether we have a cure for. You watch
We
those
don't.
the No Kings rally over the weekend. You see a bunch of dysfunctional, just strange people dressed up in the gaudiest outfits with the craziest hair, and they give them a microphone, and their idea of protesting is squealing to thousands of people, like it meant something. I saw them do that I thought, you got to be kidding me.
Feeling like little pigs.
Yes. It's like, what the hell is going on? These people, folks, so help me God, if it happened in 1950, they would be in like Pennhurst or the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum.
When you're out in public and you have a child that has a hissy fit, do you give into it? Some parents do. You know, because that kid is doing exactly that to get its own way. But if you sit there and, all right, that's it, you're done. You're getting your butt busted right here in front of everybody. You know, then all of a sudden they realize their fake tears and everything else didn't get them anywhere. But Mr. Liberal and Miss Liberal, Mr. Touchy-Feely, oh, you don't treat a child that way. Give them that lollipop. Give them that toy over there. Give them what they want. No, you don't.
No. Well, you know, we have we have a terribly difficult situation right now. That No Kings rally, by the way, they're talking about doing more. It was such a success.
Stand by my. Actually, it was a bomb, but I stand by my claim yesterday because I saw the videos, and you know, when you talk to them, they would automatically. They would attack the religious right or religious people in holes. So I'm going like, I'm sorry, but you're saying no kings. We don't have kings here. But when you say no kings and you blast the church and you blast people of faith, you are blasting a king there, and it's blasphemy. And I think you do know what you're doing.
You know what they say?
And I think you'll pay a price for that ultimately.
I heard somebody say that they went to the rally in Boston. And the person who was talking, who's being interviewed, is I guess, a history expert. He said, folks, what the politicians and the speakers promoted was essentially the Communist Manifesto. It wasn't a variation thereof. It was, he said, it was almost word for word the Communist Manifesto.
Well, I actually believe we're going to make a mistake and go down that trail. And I think that we are going to lose a lot. And I don't think I think right now we're the superpower of the world. But I think in yours and my lifetime, if something doesn't happen and happen pretty damn fast, we are not going to be the superpower. And we're going to be counting on the rest of the world for aid. And we see how they help us now. Wait until we're sitting there impoverished with our hands out. It's coming.
I want to talk about this after the commercial break. Like and share our show. Tell your friends about us. Jim and Bill, It's Another Day. Jim and Bill, It's Another Day. We have two websites, itsanotherday.com or jimandbill.com. Gift shop is there in both stores and both websites. Also, we have a donate button, and we'd appreciate whatever you can do. It would help us out if you can throw a few bucks into the donation coffers. We'd appreciate it. Also, you can contact us by mail at jimandbill.com. Email mail@jimandbill.com.
Wake up on the right side with Right Side Coffee.
Available at rightsideshop.com. We're talking about the situation that we're in right now and whether we can fix this. You talked about something has to happen damn soon, and I'm absolutely in agreement with you, and I'm hoping President Trump is paying attention to what's going on because it's going to. I heard a politician on the left scream at one of the rallies, No Kings rally. We know what's going to happen. Trump is going to get the military against us before the election. They were signaling to us that they really kind of know that the status quo is not going to be the status quo anymore. It's going to be changed. I'm under the impression, Bill, that Trump realizes that he knows that if they don't fix the elections, if they don't make the ID a part of the legal process of voting,
They're screwed.
then there's no way in hell the Republicans are going to win again, because the Democrats and the left have perfected stealing the vote. They have got it down to a science. So
I think they've already got the vote for the midterms, and I think they got it for the following. It doesn't matter. You know, they're throwing up these cards of people that we're going, hell, they're losers.
Yeah.
And they are losers. But it doesn't matter if you own all the marbles in the pool. If you got a million blue marbles somehow on paper or in a computer record, and we've only got 250,000 marbles, guess what? We lost the pool.
I think Trump is going to have to at some point declare a national emergency. You may say, well, why would it be a national emergency? It would be a national emergency because they have allowed the system to be hijacked by these deceitful, disruptive people who want to convert it into something it was never meant to be.
And let me tell you what will happen. If they take over, you will see radical changes in the government. And they'll just say it's a natural evolution. And you will see, maybe not public executions, but you will hear of executions with our leaders all the way down into the general populace and anybody that did anything to, act out against the blue. Case in point, Kid Rock, he showed up on the Turning Point thing.
Yeah.
And now there are helicopters that are buzzing his property. And
Well, the good news about that is he explains it. I have actually some audio of the rockster, who, by the way, I think is I think he's a pretty interesting guy. He talked
he's
about
a wild guy, he's had some fun in his life.
Yeah. Here's what he said. This is Kid Rock talking about the helicopters.
Just kind of walk me through what you saw.
Man, I was sitting right there just having like kind of Saturday morning beer, and I seen a chopper start coming. I was like, man, it looks like military. And it's not the first time they've flown over my house. They're out of Fort Campbell, which I was there last Thanksgiving with J.D. Vance, and I've talked to some of these pilots, and I've told them, I'm like, you guys see me waving when you come by the house? I'm like, you guys are always welcome to cruise by my house, like anytime. So they just happened to be coming this way. So I walked over here, and I'm like, yeah, hell yeah. And then they circled back around and came out right over here. So I just, gave them a salute and, kind of a thank you. And, man, it was a level of respect that I got that no award or record sales could ever do. And at the end of the day, if it makes their day a little brighter, for their service to our country, protecting us, I think that's a great thing, especially when I saw yesterday that there was, the No Kings thing going down, and there was people flipping them off. I'm like, I don't care what your politics are, but come on, man, if you're flipping our military off, I'm the king of the bird. Like, if you're flipping our military off, you're on the wrong side of things, man. So, at the end of the day, I thought it was harmless. I thought it was really cool. I was very appreciative of them coming by, and I hope I got a good smile and made their day a little bit brighter, too.
The military is like looking into this to see, if they did this for their own pleasure, I guess. What do you have to say to that?
I think they're going to be all right. My buddy's commander-in-chief. I mean, what are they looking into? They stopped for, I don't know, seconds, a minute. Maybe they were here 3-4 minutes, just say what's up, went on. And I've told them before up at Fort Campbell, like I said, when I was there with J.D. Vance back at our vice president back in Thanksgiving, I talked to some of them. I said, yeah, because I see them when they fly the Chinooks and they go to Nissan Stadium for the football games. They come right over. And if I'm here, I usually make it a point, come out and give them a what's up. So it's really not that new, but it was pretty cool. They stopped right there and kind of, I wasn't expecting any of that, but I thought it was really neat.
It was really interesting. I saw the video. He has video of, I guess somebody, his wife or what, someone took a video of them doing the flyby, and they came over at one point, and he's seated by his pool, and he gets out of his chair, and they fly the helicopter, the gunship, and they go stationary. They hover, and they literally hover for about I don't know, 30 seconds or a minute. And he walks out there and he salutes them. And they salute back at him, meaning they acknowledged him. They liked him. They weren't there for any nefarious purpose. They were just.
No, if you see a black helicopter, that's a whole different helicopter.
Yeah.
And no,
Although I'll tell you one
laugh,
thing.
That's true.
This sucker was a gunship. So this would make me more nervous because this had all of the ammunition and munitions on it.
They're ready to go. You know,
Yeah.
if I'm at a stadium watching a game, and with some of the crap that's out there, and after what Iran said, I'd be happy to see a gunship, because if they acted up, I'd hit the deck and say, "Yeah, get them, boys." But we are in weird, nefarious times, and for those guys that saluted him, the lady brought up, well, they want to investigate. The left is going to make something out of this.
But you hear what he
likes
said? I think they're okay. My friend's the commander-in-chief.
and he's going to be under investigation.
Yeah. Well, they're not going to do anything to those guys. First of all, they didn't do anything really wrong. They just went by. He lives on a mountain. It's not like they dropped down into a valley and hovered over his house. They literally came by, and he overlooks the entire world from his mansion. And so they just came at their normal altitude, and they came by, and then they stopped and they waved, because he told them next time you're in the neighborhood, you see me on the backyard, stop by and say hello,
So he's the old man on the mountain, is he?
But here's the thing. This gets back to the point we were making about how something's got to change. And I don't know whether we'll ever get anything fixed politically in our country anymore. I know that sounds depressing, but if you think about it for a second, we had an opportunity, because we have the majority in the Senate, to fix the voting, what they call it, the Save America Act, and also the DHS funding. All that stuff was an opportunity, and they squandered it. Thune, he went back to South Dakota, and they spotted Lindsey Graham, who supposedly is a big proponent of the president, a big supporter. They spotted him in Disney World or Disneyland, one of the Disney. It was Disney World, with a toy in his hand, walking around enjoying the sights and having a great old time, when he should have been back in Washington fixing the problem we have right now, because. They say, well, the president gave emergency funding to the TSA agents, so everything's fine now. No, it's not, because we have Coast Guard personnel who haven't been paid in over a month, and they're out there supposedly keeping the bad guys from landing on our shores.
You look at the crew of the Gerald R. Ford, which is now in a base. It's been taken out of the battle, and they're close by, but they have to go in for repairs. There was a fire on the ship. They have to repair for that. They have backed up plumbing. That's a real gasser. But they got to get that fixed, and they're probably going to do some maintenance, restock, and do everything on it. But that crew has been out there continuous for 8 some months, not allowed to go home for holidays, birthdays, anything.
No recess for them?
No recess for at least the past 8 months, maybe longer. And the only reason they have gone to Safe Harbor Port is because I guess they can't flush the toilets. I would have drained them in bombs and dropped them over Iran myself. But,
Yeah, but some of those leaders wouldn't know, wouldn't be able to tell the difference.
They would have loved it. They would have fit right in.
A shower. Anyway, no, I don't know how we fix it. I don't think that we can ever rely on Congress to fix anything, because the divide is too great. They will never have a kumbaya moment and come back together again. It just isn't going to happen. Look at how much the left hates the right. Please tell me how they're going to reconcile. How are they going to get? Oh, well, everything's fine now. Trump is gone. We'll get. I heard something yesterday which made me gag on my supper. Supposedly, the Bush family has decided that when Trump is out of office, they're going to go back into Washington and they're going to reclaim the Republican Party. The Bush family think they have a divine right. Well, that's just it. They are so out of touch. There's a schism that it's never going to be repaired between what he did. He literally took us into the Iraq War, and his father took us into the first Iraq War, and they did it for the damnedest of purposes. What did he say?
1,000 points of light in the sky.
Yeah. Yes.
You're looking at fireflies up there.
Remember when the first Bush said, "Read my lips, no new taxes. Read my lips, no new taxes." And then he turns around and taxes us. No, they will never know. Folks. He was once the head of the CIA. People don't realize that. A lot of people don't realize that nice guy, George Herbert Walker Bush. Yeah. He was once the head of the CIA, and a lot of people make a connection between what happened in Dallas in November of '63 to Bush. Let
me. He said, read my lips. No new taxes, any taxes.
Yeah.
I think that he thought that they were all his buddies. They were all of the same. They had the same coat. And I'll ask you this. If you're a scorpion, can you make friends with another scorpion?
No, they sting each other.
So he got stung when he thought he could trust his own stripes, and he got screwed. And I say that because the midterms coming up in the next election for the Republicans, this is your last stand.
That's it.
If you don't get it done, you'll never have a chance to do it again. This is the last stand. Conversely, for the Democrats, they're like Islamic,
terrorists, jihadists. Yeah.
Because they will keep coming back and back and back. They only have to take control once. We have to keep defending. And so this is the last hurrah. Either make it, take it, or lose it forever.
Well, John Thune says, well, we can't get rid of the filibuster. It's been around for a while now. But the first thing the Democrats are going to do when they get into
it, see if they match a Democrat.
When the Democrats get into office, they're going to remove the filibuster immediately. So from that point on, 51 votes is all they'll need to pass whatever they want. You'll never see a Republican bill pass again, ever.
But you know what they'll do if they see that they're going to lose? They'll put that filibuster right back in there.
They will do whatever they have to do.
Yeah.
As opposed to the Republicans who will, it's like the old joke about the guy who shoots himself in the face and he bang, bang, bang. They shoot themselves all the time. Republicans will figure out a way to screw up a one-car parade. Really, they've made they've made an Olympic game out of it, and they've become gold medal winners. They are unfriggin' believable. To think that they would have the audacity in the middle of a national crisis to say, "Oh, I got to get back to South Dakota, and I know, Lindsay, you got to go to Disney World, and everybody else has to go partay." They found one senator down at a casino in Vegas having a great old time. Yeah, they're all having wonderful times. In the meantime, you and I, we're all being screwed out here. You send these, that's the problem with 6 years, is they figure, people will forget. They'll forget, really. 6 years is a long time. If I screw up in the beginning of my term, they won't even remember at the end of my term. Folks, we have got to put pressure on, maybe tell President Trump, it's time. We're in a national emergency. Things have got to change, and they got to change now.
My dad was always a pessimist. You talk about football games, you talk about everything. He goes, all rigged. And my dad, smart guy, everything. But he also, when he was young and in the military, he was a bodybuilder and trained a pretty famous person out there. But either way, he did all that. And he even said boxing because he boxed when he was young. He sat there and said, a lot of times that's pretty well rigged too. And he would tell you right now, these elections, they're rigged. It's already set in stone. Now he was a voting man. He said, you got to go out and vote. You gotta hope for a chance. But the game is already afoot. It's, the Democrats already believe they're taking power. They're in control.
Oh, yeah. Well,
And
and the media talks about it like it's a fait accompli, meaning
We ha-
it's a done deal.
And that's what Trump knows, and that's why he does what he does. And he sits there and takes every opportunity to talk. And sometimes, if I'm sitting there talking too much, I scramble my words like, like scrambled eggs. What the hell was that? But either way, he's controlling the stage, keeping out there because he knows that we have to overwhelm the system so much that they can't steal it, or it's more than obvious that they stole it. If you look at 2020, that was a stolen election. And when we went to protest, well, we were insurrectionists. Now, these No King rallies and everything, and they're talking about it, stolen this, and he's doing that. He's not our president. And then they get in your face. That's insurrection to me. It's the same thing.
Folks, we got 8 months. 8 months. That's nothing. 8 months to the midterms. And after that, all bets are off. You know what they're going to do when the Democrats get into office? First thing they're going to do is they're going to impeach Trump. It'll happen. It'll happen the first week.
This time, though, they will turn around, impeach him. They will put the seal of approval on it, and then they'll say, we have got to hold him accountable publicly because they got to have.
And if they steal the Senate bill, you're right. If they steal the Senate, see, I think the only way the Democrats can possibly win, honestly, is to be dishonest about it. Okay, just look around. Everything they stand for is anti-American. Everything they've done goes against the grain of what we are as a people. Everything.
Republicans have the Senate. However, out of that majority, is there enough that are wishy-washy that could go with the Democrats?
Oh, they're doing it now. Look at the Murkowski and
there you go.
Collins.
There you go.
And I mean,
so if they don't have a spine, they don't have a soul, they don't have a heart, then all they need to do is take Congress. And that is something they're really working hard on. They own the media. Once they do that, it's over.
Yeah. Well, folks, Trump has got to make some hard decisions, and it's not just about Iran. I think Iran, by the way, was necessary because I think he found out. I heard this yesterday. Gordon Chang was on, I believe, Hannity's show, and I was listening. Chang is an expert on behind the scene details with regard to the Chinese and the North Koreans, and he said, "Listen, whether you know this or not, the Chinese sold to Iran intercontinental ballistic missiles that go 8,000 miles. 8,000 miles. That means that Iran had the ability to hit any city in our country. And
how do you know they still don't have some on order or in reserve or stockpiled somewhere else?
Last night, they dropped bunker buster bombs on, they called it munitions factories and munitions storage areas. But who's to say they weren't ICBM sites? First of all, they don't want us to know, by the way, that, yes, Iran had the capability of taking us out. They don't want us to know that. That's too scary.
Here's a couple of questions I have for you. Let's just say they still have some intercontinental ballistic missiles. Well, where would they launch them from? Okay, let's say you take an oil tanker that looks like an oil tanker and you refit that ship and it can fire missiles. And let's say, where do they get the warhead? Well, when the old Soviet Union broke down, there were warheads that were abandoned, left behind. We lost somewhere like, it was at 8 or 20 warheads a while back. Somehow they just disappeared some years ago that nobody ever talks about.
I know.
So there's a stockpile of at least 100 warheads out in Never Never Land.
Who bought all the missing munitions that the Soviet Union left behind? I'm talking about warheads. A lot of those are missing too. They call them suitcase nukes. Well, it doesn't take much to take one of those things and put it on top of a missile and launch it. I think Trump realized, oops, we got to end this now, or we're going to be in serious trouble with this rogue country. That's why I don't think he wanted to go into this when he did, because I think he had other plans. But I'm hoping that this doesn't distract him from the domestic problem he has right now, and that is maintaining power in government. If he spends the next 2 years fighting off these legal attacks from the left, then it's going to hurt us as a country.
Well, why do you think they're doing that? Why do you think the pressure's on for the No King rallies? Where is the money coming from that? And, every day...
That guy Singham. You know that guy Singham? There's a guy named Singham, a billionaire. He's an expatriate, meaning he was American, born here, but he lives now in, I think, Shanghai. And he's a big friend of the Chinese government. Supposedly, he gave millions of dollars to the No Kings rally, like $20 million to the No Kings rally. They had signs printed up. They had posters. They had personnel that were controlling everything. It was absolutely a staged performance. This wasn't an impromptu get-together.
There's all kinds of crazy things going on. By the way, I was just going to mention, because I know we're getting short on time, Democrats aren't good with math. That's obvious with like what they're doing in New York. Oh, we've got all these illegal people. They get all this free stuff. Who's paying for it? You and I. I saw a post. It was a day before yesterday. Some lady was going, Elon Musk has $268 billion. That's his net worth. Actually, she's wrong. He's got between $800 and $850 billion. Just so you know, he's almost a trillionaire.
Yeah.
But her point was, there's 8 billion people in the world. Why doesn't he just sit there and give everybody $1 billion? Well, before I get into the math of this, let's just say that everybody gets $1 billion. All of a sudden, that raises the static lineup, the bottom lineup. Now everybody's a billionaire.
Oh,
that means
a bar of soap will cost you $200,000.
Everything goes up. But here's the fallacy to her. This is Democrat math. Okay, she thinks $268 billion, but let's go with my number that he's got between $800 and $850 billion.
Right.
There's 8 billion people. So that means every man, woman, child on earth gets $1 billion. Do you know how much his $800 to $850 billion, how many people would actually get $1 billion?
How many, Bill?
Between 800 and 850. You see, when you multiply $1 billion times 8 billion, all of a sudden you get a whole different figure, because those little numbers start adding up and carry over. So all of a sudden, it's not 100,000. It's not 8 million. It's not 8 billion. It's not the trillion. It's the next set of numbers after the trillions. He doesn't have enough money to give 850 people that.
Yeah, the thing is, he is amazingly wealthy, though. I thought when he made the offer to pay the TSA salaries,
he can do things like that.
Yeah, I thought that was magnificent. Just, you can say what you want about the guy. He doesn't have to do this. He could live quietly in seclusion somewhere, live off the lap of luxury, as they would say, and you'd never know.
He was a geek with a pencil and paper, then got a laptop. And, look, I mean, he's done well with what he's had, and he's a smart guy. He figured it out. He helped his mom with investments. He knew how to read that. And, we talk about the economy and everything. I don't like the crypto idea, but then again, too, it's probably the way it's going to go, because, and if my prediction that this country is on the brink of either being something or going the hell away, I don't know what you're going to do to sustain yourself in a new world order that may be here.
One other topic before we wrap this up. Professional sports in America has gone woke left big time. It has gone woke left. The NFL, I mean, they got slogans on the goalpost, in the end zone. They got it on the uniforms. We care or whatever it is. Although, it was just they bend over backwards for the left. They never, ever bend over backwards for the right. They never do conservative slogans like, make America great again. You'll never see MAGA on a goalpost in the NFL. The NBA is the same way. The Chicago Bulls have waived guard Jaden Ivey after calling out the NBA for celebrating Pride Month. He didn't really, I heard what he said. He said, by the way, he's a Christian. He's a outspoken believer in Jesus Christ. Ivy is. Hard to believe, a pro athlete, and not just he's a good athlete. He's a good basketball player, right? But he said, look, I don't understand this. The NBA, they ask everybody to celebrate Pride Month with them. They make the unrighteous righteous. And that's basically what he said, okay? He has a right to say that. He did it in his car. He did it in a private post online. And a lot of people
They hold that against you. Hey, you know what? They're shoving it down our throat. I don't care if you're gay, all right? And, if you excel and you do well because of your talents and your merits, good for you. Now, if you get something because you're gay, I got a problem with that.
Well, I also would like to see, by the way, some other NBA team say, we'll take him. Oh, yeah, Jaden Ivey? Yeah, we'll take him. Oh, yeah, Celtics maybe or the Pistons or something. Somebody should pick him up right away, and that should be a statement from the other side. But they won't do it because they're all in cahoots. Folks, why is it that they try to shove, when you go to a sports game, a football game, basketball game, you go there to get away. You go there to shake the everyday crap off you and just watch the game. You're in there for the sport, right? But now, like you said, Bill, they have just spread their political crap all over the professional. That's why, by the way, I watch a lot of college football now, because then it's not so much there. They're still kind of they're kind of purist about their sport. But, with professional sports, they gotta, it's Pride Month. Listen, there was a time in my youth where it was against the law to do what these people, again, I'm like you, Bill, live and let live. You want to be gay, knock yourself out. Whatever, as John Lennon once said, whatever gets you through the night. It's all right. That's your business. But when you start promoting it and shoving it down our throats like it's supposed to be the greatest thing since sliced bread, that bothers me. Do you ever hear them say, this is heterosexual month. Celebrate heterosexual. You'll never hear that. Celebrate life between a man and a woman. Oh, do you see us having flags? Why do we? And then some people on the left, they revere the LGBTQ flag more than they revere the American flag.
If we designed a heterosexual flag and put it out there, I guarantee it would be banned and we would be fined.
Absolutely.
For hate speech.
The Providence, Rhode Island mayor, a lunatic leftist, he was pressured by a leftist group. There's a gay bar in Providence that on the side of its brick building, three-story building, they had a mural painted of a murder victim. And it was just a salute to the victim. That's all. It wasn't anything. It was not a statement of position. It was just a salute to her. And it was a three-story painting. And so what happened? The lunatic left said, "Oh, that's a statement against the left, and that's bringing politics to the area, and it's offensive to the neighborhood." And the weak-spined, limp-wristed moron of a mayor said, "Oh well, I'll have them take that mural down. We'll pressure them to take the mural down. And by the way, it was on the side of a gay bar. All right? It was on the side of a gay bar. It wasn't on the side of the fire hall. Go ahead.
I'm waiting for radical Islam somewhere in the United States to declare war on gays.
Oh, my God.
Because,
Bill,
then will that change the tune?
all of a sudden, you won't see them screaming, no more police. I'll tell you that much. There was you see the video this week of one of the protesters being protected by police from being attacked by some of the crowd at one of these protests. And,
Have you ever
and he was
watched
saying defund the police. He's being protected by the police, and he's screaming defund the police. Unbelievable. They have.
I saw a guy that was dressed up like an ICE agent. I guess he came out to protest the protesters. And instead of them just yelling at him and, going, go home, you wah, 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 whatever they yell, they went over and, some held him while they kicked him in the groin, kicked him in the head, stomped his face, stomped his chest, beat him with a bat. And this is a gang of 10 on one. That is fighting.
How
like
many
a
were
wolf.
arrested?
Well, not a damn one. And then the person's going, oh, this is bad. It's videotaping. Get out and help the guy.
Well, that doesn't happen anymore, by the way.
Go viral.
Yeah, that doesn't happen anymore. They can see somebody being knifed. Oh, I got to get this on video. I can't step in and be a
Let
hero.
me borrow the phone for you while you go help, because I'm going to stick it up your bum. Video that.
Anyway,
See,
folks, I
help
think
people out, but
I think we've done it. I think we have done it. Been an interesting program. Lots to talk about this week. There's a lot that we never got to today. It's just
let's end it on a good note.
Okay.
Well, it's a good note if you're a Trump fan,
okay.
and it's a good note if you're Donald Trump.
What's that?
He got some good news from good news from Ron DeSantis, who has named Palm Beach Airport after Trump.
I love
it. Is
it.
now Trump Airport.
I love it. By the way, they showed sketches of the brand new Trump library that he's going to have built in Miami, and it's spectacular. It makes, you put a side-by-side of Obama's eyesore in Chicago, which literally looks like a prison.
A big tombstone, yeah.
It looks awful. And you look at Trump's magnificent-looking library in Miami, you think, whoa, there's the difference right there. One has style, the other, not so much. Anyway, my friend, I'm all done. Hope you have a great day today, friends. Stay healthy. We'll do it again tomorrow, same time, same bat channel. With that, my friend, you can take us out of here.
I'm just going to say this. You want to have a good day? Turn the news off and tune in to jimandbill.com or it'sanotherday.com. Until next time, hasta la vista, baby. We're out of here.
Who are we and why are we here? Will we be welcome or possibly feared? Do we unite and stand tall as a nation of one, or split and divide to be mocked and shunned? Are our leaders patriotic, honest and true? Do they share our beliefs? Are they red, white, and blue? The truth is out there, you just have to search. Settle for less, you'll be left in the lurch. No left-leaning lies, no socialist square. It's straight talking truth from your friends Jim and Bill. Are our leaders patriotic, honest and true? Do they share our belief? Are they red, right side with Right Side Coffee.
Available at rightsideshop.com. All music the property of Jim and Bill. All rights reserved.
This is CRN America.